Okay, so welcome back for the second part of our morning. So next is going to be Junjie Wei. He's a PhD student at the Netherlands Institute for Neuroscience, and he's going to show us some data using transcranial magnetic stimulation, again, on the role of Q, or on the role of the motor cortex in Q trigger decision, and in particular also in a social context. So when we observed others making actions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't. Where? Okay, you can see it here.
Deve stare aperto da qua. Credo che si sta aperto da qua. Poi lo ok.
Okay. Hi everyone, thanks a lot for organizing this conference, and it's a great honor to introduce our project about exploring the role of motor context and social environment in Q-trigger decision making, insights from single pulse TMS and action observation. We knew that human behavior is influenced by the social by the environmental cues. It could lead to the good decision making or bad decision making, like seeking for a food or drug addiction. And here we find the McDonald's the thing again, because it's a good example to just introduce this logic. When we walk around and find the symbol of the McDonald's, some people may want to eat hamburgers. So why does the McDonald's put the thing so high physically? Of course, we know there is association between the hamburgers and the symbol, and there is association between the spend money and the hamburgers. So why could the symbol influence your decision to spend money to buy the hamburgers? So identify this neural mechanism behind the Q-trigger decision making is important for us in our daily life. We find some research just report the premotor context also maybe play a role in this Q-trigger decision making regarding embodied choice or motor cognition, and it could be a potential treatment for the addiction behavior. And to figure out this question, we also need to use a classical paradigm named the Pavlovian to instrumental experiment, which one is mainly introduced to explore the Q in the function of the Q in the Q-trigger decision making. In instrumental learning, we want to create association between the reward and the action. And in the Pavlovian phase, we want to create association between the CS condition and the reward. And in the last phase, we want to test does the CS could influence action. To figure out here our first question: what's the role of the premotor context in the Q-trigger decision making? does it get involved in this process? So for our paradigm is we modify a bit based on the standard Peter paradigm. In the first phase, so in the Pavlovian phase, we will present 4 different colors with the participant. We want to create an association, become a specific CS condition and a specific reward. And the second phase is instrumental phase. We will ask participant to press the left button or right button to win a reward. Here we want to create an association between the specific action and a specific reward. And at the same time, in the instrumental phase, we also want to create a link between the action and the reward. So compared to the standard Peter experiment, here we set 2 Pavlovian phase. It allowed us to test that link, whether the premotor context becomes more active when participants find action related to Q compared to the low action related Q. And the last phase is the transfer phase. Here we want to test the whether there is an effect between the CS condition and instrumental action by the same reward or similar reward. We define the specific Peter based on these 2 action-related cues. We hear about the congruent response. For instance, we create association between the yellow color and the banana. We also create association between the press the left button and the banana. So in the transfer phase, when participants were present with the yellow color, they prefer to press the left button. That means the congruent response, because they press the left button has association with the yellow color by the same reward, the banana. If they prefer to press the right button, it's an incongruent response because there is no association between the CS condition and the action in this case. Here we test we use a single pulse TMS before and after the instrumental phase because we want to test the brain activity, the premotor context brain activity before and after we correct that link. So a total of 38 participants were asked to play a paradigm based on their 3 favorite foods and completed the data collecting of the map data and behavior data. So for our result, we find a general repeat. That means when participants find the CS3, that means there is a reward. They prefer to press a button compared to the CS malus. That means that there is no reward. And we also find a specific repeat. That means participants prefer to give a congruent response compared with the incongruent response, both in the CS1 condition and the CS2 condition. For our map result, we calculate the difference between the Pavlovian 2 and the Pavlovian 1. We find the CS2 significantly increased compared with the CS3 and the CS malus. So if we put the CS1 and the CS2 in one group, the action group, and the CS3 and the CS malus in no action group, we will find the action group would increase significantly compared with the no action group. We also check the Pavlovian 1 and the Pavlovian 2. We find there's no significance in the Pavlovian 1, and there is a significant difference in the Pavlovian 2 action cube is significantly higher than the low action cube. And if we divide them into hemisphere, we find the left hemisphere of course, here we also calculate the difference between the Pavlovian 2 and the Pavlovian 1. We find that the CS1 is increased significantly compared with the CS malus, and in the right hemisphere for the CS2 is increased significantly compared with the CS3 and the CS malus. So for our conclusion, our result highlight the significance of the motor system in the Q-trigger decision making. And we find the left and the right hemisphere were different before and after the instrumental phase. And in this experiment, because for our participants, all of them are right-hand participants, so they show a more significant increase in the map amplitude when present with the stimulus require the right-hand button press. And we still have another question. We find the people could the influence of the environment cue on decision making be transferred from one individual to another by the action observation? So we designed and performed a social vision of the Peter task. Investigate if the social interaction also influence our Q-trigger decision making. We would invite 2 participants to come our lab at the same time. So we assign on the keyboard. We ask them to move their hand to press the button to make the behavior obvious. And for example, in instrumental phase for the subject A, we will tell them you need to play by yourself. And for the subject B, your computer is broken and you need to learn from the subject A and observe subject A's action. And in the Pavlovian phase, their role would be intern. For the subject A, we will tell them your computer is broken and you need to learn from the subject B. And in the last phase, transfer phase, we will separate them in 2 parts and ask them to do by themselves. So in this experiment, a total of 38 participants compare the experiment and the data collecting. So for the choice, we find the observation. We find there is a specific pitch. Participants prefer to give a congruent response compared to the incongruent response. And we also find a general pitch. Participants prefer to press a button when they find the CS3 compared to the CS malus. And we also check the reaction time. We find that when they find the CS3, they press the button quicker than the CS malus. So if we divide them in 2 groups by their role in this experiment, we find the Pavlovian observers. There is a specific pitch and a general pitch. And in the auction observers, there is also a specific pitch and a general pitch. But if we combine these 2 groups, we find that there is a bit different in the general pitch for the who is a Pavlovian observer and a player in the action in the instrumental phase. There is easier to get a general pitch compared to the instrumental phase who is observed in instrumental phase. So about the conclusion of this experiment, we find that this finding from the social Peter task just revise the environmental cues can impact decision making without the direct experiments of the action reward and just observation. And the role of the observer or player, both of them showed a specific Peter and general Peter, but they are different in the general Peter effect. So about summary, we find that this finding stress the importance of the motor system in the Q-trigger decision making and emphasize the influence of the social interaction. So we know our decision is not only influenced by the environment, but also by the behavior of other people. So from the result of the TMS pit experiment to the social pit experiment, we are very curious about whether it also active our premotor system in the social pit. For now, we don't have the answer yet, but it would be to explore for the next stop. Yeah, and in the end, thanks a lot for the support of the Flag Area Project grant. We have 3 partners for our side. The Dutch group is me together with Valeria, Christian, Cas, Omer, and Carol. And also thank a lot of help from the French group and the Italian group. And thanks a lot for your listening. Thank you. Any question? Yeah, thank you. Yeah. You mean the paradigm or in the results? So both of them, there is a general pit and specific pit, but in the general pit, for the for Pavlovian observer, for participant who is a Pavlovian observer but action player, it's more easier to find a general pit. So that means when you play in the instrument phase, it's more easy to find the general pit compared to you just observe that action. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.